And now we want to hear from our learners, the reason we're doing all this work. Melissa Goldberg is going to now introduce our learner panel.
Thank you, Nan. And I just want to echo the thank yous to our funders and to our state leadership teams. And now I have the privilege of introducing our learner panel. We have 3 learners engaged with incremental credentials who are all in different disciplines at different points in their educational and career journeys from different parts of the country and representing different institutions. We really wanted to ground our discussions today and throughout the conference in their voices and experiences and to seek their advice about how to best support learners like them. And so I'm pleased to introduce you to our moderator, Marc Goldberg, no relation, who is the principal and owner at Skills Strategy Consulting, moderator of the All-In Student Pathways Forward podcast, and who's a former administrator at community colleges in Oregon. Marc, the podium is yours.
Well, thank you, Melissa, for the introduction. And it's truly an honor to have the chance to moderate this learner panel and appreciate the Credential As You Go conference really kicking this off and hearing from learners from the get-go. And so with that, I want to introduce the 3 learners who are joining the panel. First is Keirstin Blair, who's been a student at Purdue University Global. Hopefully we can see Keirstin here and pin her on the screen. And there she is. Welcome, Keirstin.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining in. And after Keirstin, I want to introduce Precious Johnson, who's been a student at Cleveland State University. Welcome, Precious.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you being here. And last but not least, we have Monica Robinson, who's been a student at Mohawk Valley Community College.
Hello, thanks for having me, guys.
Excellent. Well, welcome, Monica. And I will mainly just ask questions here. I think everyone is eager to hear from the students. I do feel compelled to say first that I know that you all will be truly inspired by these 3 learners and individuals. As I've gotten the chance to speak with them prior to this panel, you'll be inspired by their stories, but I think as much so by their insights and their recommendations for college and credential organization policymakers, faculty, and staff as they've navigated college systems in their credential programs. So with that, we'll kick it off. One quick detail is we do have time built in the panel for questions. So we'll invite you to drop them in the chat box if you have questions, and Melissa's going to help me sort through them as we get to that point. If you want to put them in earlier, just be patient. We'll get to them after, but we do want to sort of stay on track with our questions for the 3 learners. So with that, I'll start and ask you, Keirstin, first, if you could share more about your background, how you decided to enroll in classes at your respective university, and what you've been studying.
I would love to. First, I should say my name is Keirstin Blair. I'm 29 years old. I am currently an asset protection coach with Walmart. So getting to hear from Shannon prior is actually really awesome for me. So when I started looking at school with Walmart, it was the $1 a day program. Back then, there wasn't very many programs that were interesting to me. But then COVID rolls around, and then I finally decided to go back from one of my market managers who had just joined our market. I talked with her. College was never really an option for me growing up. I'm the youngest sibling of 5. I have to throw myself into the workforce and help my family. Move out of the house, still not an option because I have 3 jobs that I'm working at now. Then I got over to Walmart, and it just was like, okay, you're gonna learn this. Walmart's program and the way that they approach learning through ULearns really helped me grow and see, I can actually do this kind of learning. So when it came around to actually applying for it, I had to decide what program do I want to go into. I sat down at our computer with my market manager, Ashley, and she's like, hey, there's a whole bunch of different programs. I know you're interested in technology. Why don't you look at a few of these other ones and see if something interesting to you pops up, and then just apply. Like, the worst you can do is apply. And if you decide not to go through it, you don't have to. You can always stop and change your mind at any point in time. So I actually was looking through, and then I seen finally some cybersecurity came up, and it was cybersecurity fundamentals for the micro-credentialing program. So I was doing a little more research. Okay, what does this benefit me in the future? Like, where do I go after this? I know one day I want to be at home office, and I want to be either a cybersecurity analyst or a data analyst or even a software engineer. I have so many different interests, and it was really like, okay, where does this get me in the future? So when I looked at Purdue had 5 classes that would tie into either an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree, so I could get that education in the future. So I applied on July 2nd. I started classes. Purdue did provide an orientation class to kind of get you adapted to the online learning, because it is a whole different world than in-person learning. You have discussion boards, you have your labs, you have quizzes, you have to communicate a lot throughout the week. But they really made it easy by helping provide a schedule. And even now, the very first class, they give you, okay, this is what you should be doing about Monday, Tuesday. Your week starts on Wednesday for your next week. So there's a lot back there that just helped align that out for me. And that's why I decided to go after it. And then when I got that micro credential, I'm like, okay, what's next?
Thank you so much, Keirstin. I really appreciate how you talked about how you were thinking about short-term and long-term and where you want to take your career, and really factored that in as you considered programs, and then also touching on the onboarding orientation for an online class, and that being a key element. So with that, I want to come to you, Monica, and ask you the same question. If you could share more about your background, how you decided to enroll in classes at Mohawk Valley, and what you've been studying.
Yes, no problem. I'll start off. My name is Monica Robinson. I am 41 years old. Totally different than Keirstin. I study the Credential as you go teacher assistant. I am also alumni for MVCC, Mohawk Valley Community College Agency, with a human services degree. So what brought with me to speed things up was I wanted a change. I love the advocacy work. I love everything that I do and the skills that I had, but I still do not want to leave the inside of the classrooms. So I was in between, do I want to stay in daycare or do I want to go to the Utica Schools District? And when you work in the Utica Schools District, there is so much fun, but I also know there are certain skills and credentials that you needed. So the Credential as you go, Mohawk Valley Community Action agency, one of the agencies and the colleges, actually, I believe they collab with this awesome program. And it took me a little while, and I was not giving up. And anything that I seen with MVCC, I know is something good. So the teacher assistant program came along again for the second time, and I actually got a spot inside because due to another student had left. So I got the call saying that, Monica, you have a spot and you can start, which I was really honored with that because there was so much jewels and richness inside that training class that I got, not just from the faculty, the Utica School District Board was there. MVCC faculty was there that I knew. They were so thorough with everything about this training, how it was going to be, what type of micro credentials that you get. So that even opened up my eye, because I would have to be honest with you. Sometimes we will settle for things and for degrees that we already have and say, hey, I don't even need those classes or those credits or credentials for anything. But let me tell you, I am so grateful and I am so honored to have those credentials, underneath my belt along with the degree. And so, I mean, it's just an honor to just sit there and to learn. And so that actually gave me the more drive to even wanted I want more of this credential as you go. I need more programs like this in my life. Because if it was not for this, then I don't know where I would be right now.
Thank you, Monica. It's interesting to hear that you already had a degree from Mohawk Valley and then identified a meaningful credential as you were exploring sort of a shift in your career and interest. And then I think you touched on too the importance of that communication and transparency with faculty and staff about the credential, about the program. So thank you for sharing that, and want to come to Precious and ask you the same question to share more about your background and how you decided to enroll in classes at Cleveland State and what you've been studying.
All right. I don't know if I could top those ladies, but I am Precious Johnson. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I recently completed my certification at Cleveland State University for the Community Health Worker Program. I also have over 10 years in the healthcare industry. And right now I work with a couple of nonprofit organizations that reach out to the community to help with food disparities. I would consider myself a professional student, unfortunately, but I do feel passionate about having credentials. And while growing and learning, each of those credentials have made its way to show up in my life somehow, some way throughout the years. So it has been very important.
Thanks, Precious, and glad that you touched on the variety of credentials that you have and the community health worker program that you pursued and the type of work that you're able to do that's connected to that credential. So I want to stay with you, Precious, and ask you if you could talk more about that credential as a community health worker. Why is it important to you, and how can it assist you in your education and career goals?
Well, that particular certification kind of found me again, like others have. I went to Cleveland State University for a nursing refresher course, and then I was invited for the community health worker training, and I was intrigued with the title, being a nurse, having compassion and love for the community. I was like, well, let's just do this. And throughout the training, it was very exciting. I had a lot to contribute to my peers with, my experience and everything like that. So it kind of put me at ease, opposed to being nervous of trying something new. I feel that having credentials are so important because it shows employers and, colleges and universities that you have knowledge, you have training, and essentially those credentials open up doors of opportunities such as this one, and possibly career advancement. So
yeah, that's great. And it sounds like with your different credentials, as you talked about, they're all related and have created more opportunities, the community health worker, but sort of building on the past training and certifications that you have into the future. So with that, want to ask you, Monica, the same question about the credential that you attained, the teacher assistant credential. Why is it important to you, and how it has assisted you or can assist you in your education and career goals?
Well, it most definitely helped me with my self-esteem. First of all, it did. And like I said, I had to well, I would say this, like I was telling you, Mark, a couple of weeks ago, I was a lead teacher for a daycare for school age program. And so I knew my time was up, but all I had was human services advocacy work. I have been in the classroom, but I have never worked in a school district. And so with being in the program, and I did not know that I was going to get Credential. I did not know that at first until I really read the flyer thoroughly. And that's what made me, and I said, you know what, I'm not lowering myself from like human services worker to TA. Oh no, because I need to get my foot in this door. And if micro credentials is going to get me there in this program, I'm gonna be there. But listen, it has and I which actually I got the job. So, and by me being there and employed through the Utica School districts right now, it has helped me. I mean, beyond self-esteem. I walk in there as if like I'm an expert and I done been working in the district forever. So, and it's an honor and it does. And then when I get compliments, so the reflection is what people are looking at is actually from that classroom, from that program. It's really nothing. If I didn't have the training and the skills from that program and from the classes, the credentials, then I wouldn't have been able to bring. I mean, yes, as my personality, witty, everything else. But as far as knowing, educated, listen, it's an honor. It's a blessing. And I can go on and on about this program.
That's so awesome. And I would just say congratulations. You in the introduction talked about wanting to work for the school district and you got the job, and just appreciate how you explained that it built self-esteem, but you also gain the skills to be effective in that role in this new career path that you've pursued. So that's amazing, and congratulations, and appreciate you sharing that. And you should walk around like you've been doing it for years, because you've got the skills and you've got the background and experience, and building on what you did in as a lead teacher, even if you hadn't done the program yet. So appreciate that, and want to come back to you, Keirstin, and ask you the same question about the credential you are working towards and how it can assist you. I mean, you touched a little bit on that in the intro, but if you want to share more, please do.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. So I already got my micro credential with cybersecurity. And when I was talking to an advocate for my school when micro credentialing came up, and he emailed me about it and was asking me, why did I do it this way? Because if going into a traditional bachelor's program, I would have gotten the micro credential no matter what. Like I would have had it. I essentially told him, I said, I want you to look at it from my perspective. I am going to be graduating at the very beginning of 2025. I just started my bachelor's program 2 months ago. And I will be graduating in a year and a half, approximately. That micro credential was only 6 months at max. I think I got it done in about 4.5 months because I moved some classes around and added some classes in. That's half of the time. And by the end of that micro credential, I know what I want to do. I'm not getting through all of the gen ed classes and then deciding, okay, maybe I don't want to do this. Maybe I want to do this. No, I know what I want to do. And it's what other things do I want to learn while I'm here now? What do I want to have to be able to apply to home office and be like, okay, I want to be this, exactly this. This is how I'm going to get there. I know I need a bachelor's program to do it. And I know I want to be either an analyst or one of these 3 options, because this is now my roadmap. This is now the skill set that I want to have. So that was really important to me. And that kind of drove my passion in. I know this is what I want to do, and this is the time I want to do it in, because I know I can do it in that time. This previous weekend when I was meeting with one of my professors, and he's like, okay, you want to add a 4th class in, and that's a lot for a full-time salaried member of management to do that that has a 2-year-old and a family and is volunteering with with our police department And I'm like, no, I can do this. I know I can do this. The micro credential set me up to be able to do this. I have the hard skills. Now I'm just learning the softs, and I know the basics, and I'm just getting a little more in depth with the learning, because the classes that was chosen for this gave me that middle line, the stuff that I know I need to know. That's what, when you add into a credential class, that's important. Give us the skills you want us to have. At the end, let us decide for ourselves whether or not we want that full degree. Because either way, you're going to have the same outcome. You're going to have the knowledge set to set us forward.
Thanks, Keirstin. I just want to say, from what you just shared and the acceleration of the credential that you attained, and then sort of building on what Monica and Precious have said, it just is powerful to hear the impact of these accelerated credentials and how they are different than a traditional degree in the sort of in the journey there, and the importance of having these milestone and momentum points that you can build on. And so appreciate you sharing that, and feel like for folks who have been doing this work for some time, to hear it from learners is extremely meaningful. So appreciate that from each of you. And I think just staying on these credential programs that you all have been a part of, wanted to ask you first, Monica, what elements of the credential program that you enrolled into Mohawk Valley have been most helpful to you in completing it?
I will have to be very honest. Listen, that program paid for everything. And I did not have the funding for everything that I needed for the job at the Utica School District. I mean, that was the first thing. That was such a huge blessing, and to get that, and to get, like I said, the faculty, the trainers, the educators, the whole experience was just like so rich. And then when they, had us, they made sure, that nobody was left behind. Everybody was on the same, so those elements that I look at things different than what other people, we had even got feedback from the educators that said this class right here, like phenomenal, the awesome feedback. And I know Keirstin touched about the credentials, and I have to say this part because my sister is in the school district. She had to pay out her pocket everything. I mean, everything. And being that I just, graduated a couple of years ago from MVCC, I'm still paying out of pocket for tuition. And those, fees, school payments and stuff. And so I have to say those, for me, the biggest elements, knowing that I didn't have to come out my pocket and have to stress, have to cry, and like, how am I going to afford the funding for my tuition for my school so that I can get the credits and the skills to do a job, and to do a good thorough job, and to get a good paying job. Those elements meant so much to me, and that's why that's what drove me to, like, okay, I don't know these people that started the program, but whoever they are, I know they're heaven sent, because they're answering, I know, my prayers. Am I going to afford all of this and to go to the school? So I thank you, those for the credential as you go, because it's not how when I was young looking at my mom going to work and going to school. This is really a really short program, and you get so much, and it's free. It is. So though that meant a lot to me, those elements of this program, everything meant a lot.
Thanks, Monica. I see a lot of people nodding their heads and just appreciate the emphasis on funding and the cost, and having that taken care of, and not needing to worry about that, because that is a huge barrier for so many students in pursuing further credentials. So Yeah, that's huge. And then also just know that you talked about the support from faculty and staff as a group together, but ultimately that funding is key. So with that, I want to come back to you, Keirstin, and ask you the same question about what elements of the credential program have been most helpful to you in completing it in cybersecurity.
Honestly, the amount of technology that was given to us when we first started. So with Purdue, they actually use a Pulse app. So I can get and the Bookshelf app and a bunch of different technology apps that I can actually do on my phone. So when I'm having lunch at work, I can sit there and I can do some read my textbook, or I can go and I can comment on my discussion boards, and I can further along my learning while I'm on lunch. I can read when I'm writing passenger to an inventory. I can sit there and learn while I'm working as well. If I have downtime, I can sit there while I'm waiting for the police department to come. We can sit there and we can talk about stuff. I have associates that are wanting to go into these programs, and I'm talking to them every day about it. And that's what helps, is having that conversation back and forth.
Yeah, that's so great. So the technology, the apps and support that make it easier for your learning as someone who is a working learner with a family as well. So appreciate that, and want to ask you, Precious, the same question about the key elements of your credential program.
Okay, well, I have to say thank you for the save, Mark, because after Monica, I was tearing up there. Not only did the program itself seem like heaven sent for me as well, and it being free, all of that was nice. However, the passion that the faculty put into the program was phenomenal. I was in a really dark place. I was displaced due to domestic violence, and I was already on the brinks of not understanding. How dare you go to school and you're homeless? You got all these things going on, but I just kept feeling a little nudge, and I went and I applied for the refresher course again at the Cleveland State University. And then when I got invited to go back for the community health worker program, I was absolutely thrilled. So again, it was well put together. I'm grateful for it. Another big piece of the training was that we had real life discussions amongst our peers, and it gave me the ability to see what the issues are throughout the different communities here in Ohio. And the program just motivated me to just, want to do more and be that solution, and will give solutions, and just keep being of service to others. It was phenomenal. And I don't know if that has anything to do with nursing, but yeah, we can get a bit mushy at times. So yeah.
No, Precious, I really just appreciate you sharing your story and your experiences. And I think building on what Monica and Keirstin said in terms of funding and technology support, but really the passion of faculty, the passion and it sounds like compassion of faculty that assisted you in your credential program. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. And wanted to ask each of you, I think, the most important question, because I know you all have such tremendous insights. So knowing that there are leaders from faculty and staff from institutions that are part of Credential as you go here at this conference, there are funders, there are partners. From your lens as learners that have accessed these credentials, wanted to ask you to share with the participants here, what more can colleges and universities do to support student success in these credential programs? And we'll start with you, Precious.
Okay, well, I feel that sometimes, well, every student is not the same, and faculty, you just never know what a person is going through. I feel um the best support that could be out there from the colleges and universities are the follow-ups. You know, that could be achieved through maybe surveys, things like that, and providing mentorship amongst peers. I know faculty could be so overwhelmed because of how many students there are and they have to keep up with. But if they possibly found ways to get students more involved with the success of each other, we might be, headed in the right direction.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. Just the follow-up, if it's from faculty themselves to check in with students or with potential peer mentors or even surveys, but just the connection and the checking in to hear how it's going and see what assistance students may have, or just understand what students may be going through. As you said, students are all sort of unique, and every student's not the same. So appreciate that, and want to ask you, Monica, the same. Actually, Keirstin, I think we'll come to you. Ask you what more colleges and universities can do to support student success.
I obviously had a different experience from Precious. I was fortunate enough Purdue provides a lot of resources and a lot of communication between our professors, between other students, and encouraging that dialogue. One thing for us is for Purdue is potentially getting all of the books and stuff into one app versus 5 different apps. Even though we have it at our hands, having them all in the same resource is a lot easier and a lot more fluid to work through. That is my biggest thing I could possibly say.
So streamlining processes so it's simpler for students who have very busy lives, learners who have very busy lives. Yeah, that's a great recommendation. And then finally to you, Monica, wanted to ask you the same question of what more can colleges and universities do to support student success?
I would say follow us, but I have to give it to Mohawk Valley Community College. They are very supportive. I mean, when I say supportive, it's like family. It really is. And so when that faculty came in there, one of them was a previous professors. And, I knew, the type of person she was, but I seen someone had wrote in the chat communication is the key. That is definitely communication. But I will have to say with the team, with you guys up there, not the student panel, but everyone that made this a successful, you guys continue being in communication, encourage one another. I know it had to be stressful. I done been on, all sides of the field to where, you put in something big like this together, especially when it comes with funding. Some people could get stressed. And I know Precious had mentioned, you don't know where people is at in life. And it can be your coworker that you see every day for 40 or 50 hours a week and have no idea where their mentality is at. But communication and, just respecting one another, whatever everyone has done, just keep up the good job. That's really it. I have not seen any barriers or anything. This is just it's really, this is what success is, pushing your way through whatever life, whatever the lemons throw at you. We done made lemonade, some great awesome lemonade to drink.
Love that imagery. And it sounds like a lot of that is just having a student-centered approach and understanding and recognizing that there may be a lot of stuff going on in students' lives that, or coworkers that we may not know, and just being there for students and patient and understanding and working with them. And so, yeah, appreciate you sharing that. And then just your experience with the faculty at Mohawk Valley and the quality of the team there in that support. So one last question for each of you before we open it up for questions from the participants. And this is sort of a quick lightning round, and really just we're wanting to hear where you're at now. You've touched on it a little bit, each of you, but what's the next step on your education or career journey in where you're at now and where you're heading? So we'll start with you, Keirstin.
Currently, I am still enrolled in Purdue Global University in a bachelor's for information technology with a concentration in information security and assurance. That is the degree that I'm working towards. I've said previously I expect to graduate early 2025. At that point, we have a countdown going at work for when I graduate so I can prepare the next AP coach. I look to go to the home office, or if for some reason that plan changes to a different technology company. Really would love to stay with my own company because I absolutely love Walmart and everything that we're working to do, especially with my associates in their further education and me helping them along. But my career will take me where it takes me. And every step of the way, I will encourage more people to go after what they want in life.
That's awesome. And I think in touching on the associates that you work with and already being a mentor to other workers and learners in your current role and many opportunities ahead as you work towards your degree. So want to come to Monica, ask you the same question. Where are you at now, and what's the next step on your education and career journey?
Oh, Monica is in Utica, New York School District. That's one thing. So I did get the job, which is going awesome. I am now a special ed TA for kindergarten, first and second, and that classroom has been shifted around, and everyone was so concerned about the new teacher and TA coming there, but no, our class is running fabulous. I also been advocating on the Credential as you go program because they are having another teacher assistant training as the one that I was in. So I have been promoting, and I did get at least one person, and there are more people that's calling me, and I'm like, you have to email the lady that's on the flyer, guys. So I've been, just been advocating for this program. Get in, get in, get in. So please, whoever does the funding part, please, I'm praying that, like the rain god would just rain down the money and funding for you, because I am out there telling people how awesome and what you get, the benefits that you get for free. So that's where I'm at right now, Mark.
Thank you, Monica. What a great way to wrap that up, and encouragement to all of the participants and the funders and the colleges and universities that are part of this, and sort of through the lens of your own journey at Mohawk Valley. And so from here, we're gonna, we have a little bit of time for questions. And so it would encourage folks to ask questions to our panelists. You can drop them in the chat box. I'm just gonna say too, as I've been trying to track the chat, there are some tremendous comments just for precious Monica and Keirstin, just from participants, of just appreciating you sharing your journeys, your insights, and how powerful they are. So pick some of that up, and I may read a few, but I think wanted to start with a question that came earlier, and that was to each of you: how easy was it to find out about these micro-credentials? And what would you tell to a friend interested in something like the credential programs that you were all a part of? And I don't have any order, and whoever wants to jump in, feel free. And yeah, would love to get your thoughts.
I'll start us off, I guess. So luckily with our orientations and stuff, we've sparked the conversation in my store a lot and in my market. We actually go through the guild program. It houses all of the programs that are available, whether they're first education, second education, or even GED programs. that is where our conversation usually starts. And usually when I start them, I ask them what their interest is. And then we sit down. I'm like, okay, this is what happened with me. I'm going to take you through the same process. Let's look through the programs. Let's see what's interested. If there's something that's not there, let's go look somewhere else. What are you actually interested in? Let's go find you something where you can move on with your future.
That's awesome. Thank you, Keirstin. And Precious and Monica, either of you want to chime in on this?
So we have been having every other weekend information sessions where we're bouncing resources off each other, and that's been very helpful. I've been an advocate to the program, and I'm gonna just continue to keep doing that.
Thank you.
And for Mark, and for myself, I mean, like with Precious, I stayed with in a community with the resources, and actually with this one with the teacher assistant credentials, it was sent to me by various people, because you have to share that passion with others, and so that's how I got the notification. And still, like I said, it's such an honor to advocate, to promote this, to encourage others and to just let them know, like, listen, I know everybody likes the word free. I don't care what it is, but everyone likes to hear that word free. So those are the words that I usually say: free, and this is what you benefit from. This is everything that you get from this program. And the first thing that I mentioned is that you get credits, college credits that you don't even have to pay for or sit as long as someone else that did have to take those classes. So, yeah.
I think all three of you have articulated in different ways, just being ambassadors for the programs that you've been a part of, if it's with associates, if it's out in the community, and with other learners. And so I don't have a strong or close connection to your institutions, but I feel like on behalf, I should say thank you, because it's just incredible that you do that and have seen the benefit of these programs and are promoting them to others. So that's fantastic. And with that, want to ask you, to each of you, were any of you worried seeking a micro-credential rather than a degree? And I know, Keirstin, you talked a little bit about sort of the weighing those. So maybe could start with you. And if Monica or Precious, you want to chime in, that would be great.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. So yeah, I went back and forth of which way to do it first, and it really broke down to what would get me where I want to get as fast as I can. I know I have the ability, I know I have the skill to learn what I want to learn. My biggest barrier, which I know Christine in the chat asked what our biggest barrier was, so I want to touch on that while we're there because I'm going to mention it anyways, was going from the micro-credential program into the bachelor's program. Because there's, after you graduate with any kind of program, there's a waiting period to be able to go into another one. Now, if I would have went the traditional route, I would have gotten them both together at the very end, but that wouldn't be as beneficial, and it would have taken way longer in the long run. For me, is we need to try to see what we can do to remove that barrier, because how many people wouldn't have waited and wouldn't have kept calling to get back into the program knowing where they wanted to be at? Would they have given up in that 10-week gap that I got pushed back, or the 10 weeks when it moved to 15 weeks?
Yeah, so not losing momentum and making sure that colleges have that, remain connected to learners who begin with a micro-credential first to really smooth that transition into a bachelor's. And so, yeah, appreciate that. And then no, Monica and Precious, you came to your institutions gaining a new credential, having had a degree already. So it's sort of a different vantage point, but I think still an interesting question about weighing a micro-credential versus an additional degree. And then since Keirstin jumped in with barriers, if either of you wants to also offer what your biggest barrier was, independently of the first question or together.
I'm trying to think of a barrier. with it because I don't. The only thing I'm like, it should have been longer, like another week, you know? So I really don't. I don't have, and you know, it was, like I said, it was just awesome because with the credentials, and even though I had a degree, I only need like 2 or 3 more credits to actually go. And with the Utica School District, they have different phases. So phase 1 is like, you know, you get paid a certain amount, you know, you have this, you know, high school diploma. Phase 2, and then they have phase 3. So I seen where I was at. I'm in phase 3, but I can't get to phase 3 yet because I have to be in a district and at phase 1 for a year. So no, and if I have the skills and the stuff with the, you know, a micro credential, I'm still at the same level with somebody that has a degree, and we both doing the same skills and doing the same productive work.
Yeah, that's really helpful to have that, and the way that you see sort of the building of skills and the credentials and certifications in that field, and the value of that micro credential. So thank you, Monica. And you know, the barrier, one more week seems doable, right? And appreciate that. And then Precious, want to ask you the same question.
Well, I didn't see any barriers. I'm almost like Monica. She's like my soul sister or something at this point, because I was the only thing that I was thinking about with our training. It was 1 day a week, every Saturday for like 19 weeks. And I'm like, could we get more days? And then that way, maybe, you know, I don't know. But it was great. I never knew that there was a job title of community health worker. So it was really intriguing for me to know that people outside of myself, because that's, you know, I have a degree, so that other people can come and get this education and be placed within the workforce and have an awesome career, you know, if that's their passion. So it was great. It was great to know and be a part of.
Thank you, Precious, for adding that. And I know we just have another minute or two, but I do feel compelled to read one or just a few of the comments in the chat box, and one that stuck with me earlier from Cheryl, saying this is one of the best learner-focused panels I've had the opportunity to attend. Thanks to each of you. It really helps us keep your stories front of mind as we work to try and grow these kinds of opportunities. Really inspiring. And I think other ones, thank you so much for sharing with us, like many others have already said, inspired. So just really great feedback. And I think both a blend of you being open and honest and sharing your stories and your unique journeys, but also your insights and your reflections to your experiences, and all of you thinking about other learners or potential learners in sort of following your footsteps, which seems to be a theme there. And it just shows to me the value of these credentials and the impact for you and your families. So another comment, these students are living examples that intentional and thoughtfully designed credentialing programs matter, from Tina. And I could go on, but just know that this conversation to me has been truly inspiring. And I want to just thank Keirstin, Precious, and Monica for carving out the time with your busy. Oh, Precious, you got something?
Yeah, can I give a shout out to Lucia? She's been in the chat and just, whoo, she's keeping up so much good.
Yeah, she's like our cheerleader over here.
I can't
Yes.
see her, but shout out to Lucia. I'm sorry. And thank you, everyone, though. That's what I just wanted to say. Sorry.
Yes, and can I say one thing? If anyone ever like needs me to advocate for this program free of charge, listen, I love stuff like this. It does not matter. Mark and Melissa, and I think Nan, and I seen somebody else that was in their little emails, but they have my email. You guys are more than welcome. More than welcome. Call, email me. I'll be there. I can't be there physically, but through Zoom, I can be there for you guys.
Thank you, Monica. And thanks, Precious,
Same
for
with
grabbing
me.
those comments from Lucia, seeing them at the throughout too. And then Keirstin, if not sure if you wanted to add anything more there.
Yeah, so there was 2 questions when I jumped on that was asked. One by Holly Zanville, if I'm pronouncing her name right. I hope we were able to answer your question. Yes, this credentialing program, it helps. It helps tremendously beyond what you could even imagine. And I know I'm not the only one that thinks that. I know these 2 ladies below as well. And then one from Shannon from my company, actually, she asked if the work that we does, how we can do, what we can do to make the work count. And that's really going to be with the corporations and the places outside, is taking what we're learning. I know Walmart has many different things for us. I hope these ladies as well with their actual positions. I know Monica definitely does, and getting the credit for her classes, but other corporations taking us by example is showing them that we can do this work. We're showing we have these skills, we're learning these skills, but maybe incorporating side by side. Okay, we know that they're going into this program, we're funding it, we're paying for it. Why not have these different positions to help us along? That way you get us at the very end of it, no matter what. Either way, we're helping provide the work that you need, and we're getting that further education to help you move forward in your life.
Perfect. What a great way to pull that all together, and appreciate you looping back on the questions from earlier, Keirstin. And so again, just want to thank the 3 of you for offering up so much to this panel as part of this conference. I learned a tremendous amount from each of you in our conversations. And from here, I'll pass it back to Melissa.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you for your fantastic moderating. And to Keirstin, Monica, and Precious, thank you so much for your generosity, for sharing your stories, for sharing your expertise, and giving us advice on things that we really need to keep in mind moving forward as we're developing and really advancing this whole notion of incremental credentialing. We cannot thank you enough. This has been so inspiring, as I'm sure you all saw in the chat. This really moved people, and it's really going to be in our minds as we move forward this afternoon and tomorrow afternoon with the rest of our conference, and more importantly, moving forward as we design an incremental credential. So thank you to all of you.